G'day everyone and welcome to Aussie Tech Security episode 27. It is a winter, yes, and it's the start of series 3. So we thought we'd give you a bit of a wrap up of what we've been up to and what's the bit of basics of tech security for you at home and your work. We are brought to you by athwebhosting.com.au. For all your web hosting needs, just give us a buzz, give us an email or whatever, sign up and you'll be dealt with accordingly. You're also at rniconsulting.com.au. And you can get all your other security fix from there. And speaking of RNI Consulting, let's welcome Roger back for Series 3. How you doing, Roger?
Good, Glenn. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks. You look a bit cold down there.
It's freaking freezing.
What would the temperature be? About 5 or something? Is that right?
It was -3 this morning, so it's probably about. It's about in this room. It's probably about 2. That's why the jumper and the jacket and the scarf, and I haven't got the beanie because that's in the car.
Yeah. Well, it is a bit of a contrast, isn't it? Because as soon as we hooked up, Roger goes, "What are you doing?" And I'm sitting here in a t-shirt and shorts, and the beautiful sunny day here on the Gold Coast.
It's, go on, tell it. Suck it up. Yeah.
Look, I don't want to bore everyone with weather details, but I'll tell you if I can find out, just to give you a contrast of what it. Oh, it's 21. There you go.
Yeah.
All right.
20 degrees difference. Lovely.
Yes, that's right. Now, look, yes, we are back. There has been a bit of a wait for the Series 3, so to speak. So we'll get straight into it. Well, so as I said, I think we'll get talking about some basics. Just get a bit of a recap, just keep everyone up to speed. There's been a bit that's been happening of late with ransomware viruses and so forth, and Windows patches and all this sort of stuff.
Yes, I totally agree.
Yeah, so I think look, one of the things that happened since we've been say away, say in recess,
incommunicado.
Yeah, is look, Microsoft started patching XP again. Well, not continuously, but they've patched XP for this WannaCry virus and a couple of other things. Is that a good idea? Do you think, Roger? They should be patching the old XPs, or should they just let XP die?
I think what has happened is Microsoft suddenly realised that they've got an operating system out there that they haven't touched for 5 years. Only to realise that there's still a large number of organisations who are using it. And no matter how much they cut prices, make it easier to buy, all that sort of stuff, people don't want to go away from it because it was, to them, it was the only one that worked. They've really got this attitude that, hey, it's still working, so why should I upgrade? All of those sort of things come into it. Yeah. And then Microsoft suddenly realised, well, the operating system has got a few holes in it and we need to do something about it. So that's where it all came from.
Why do you think that people, and like when we talk about people that are not upgrading, it's really not just a normal Joe, is it? Or is it? But I think it's more like the companies, the government departments, and so forth. And my belief is because there's all these departments or government agencies, they've all got legacy software or purpose-built software.
Yes.
And maybe the developers have, gone tadas or something. And how do they get this whiz-bang clunky software, this legacy software, from XP to at least 7 or 10? They've got to go to 10 now.
Well, they have to go to 10 now because I think 7's end of life at the end of this year. Yes. So that's also going to cause a problem for them. But the other thing is we've actually been working with a government department. One of my colleagues has been working. He's a programmer. And they came to him with 520,000 lines of code and said, we need to take this from a DOS-based system into the real world and bring it up.
Wow.
Now, this system has been on the government, government department. They use it regularly. It's been available since 2001, so it's 16 years old. Now, these are the problems that we're running into. Now, some of the code that he was going over, yes, it's very, very noticeable that there's a lot of vulnerabilities in it. So his role now is to go, this is what the functionality is, let's bring it up into the level of what needs to be done.
Wouldn't you
costs a lot of money, though. This is the problem.
But something DOS-based, like, wouldn't it be best just to start again? Like, can you actually migrate, or it would be a rewrite?
You can't migrate. It has to be rewritten, but you have to have the same look and feel functionality, all of that sort of stuff. And even though the look and feel is going to be different because you're going from one system of code to another. The people who are using this are the people who are going to kick up a fuss if they suddenly realise that they haven't got the pretty pictures that they used to have. And this is one of the bigger problems that most developers have is, yes, we can take it from X to X to Y. We can put all the functionality in, but if it doesn't look and feel the same, then we are going to have a problem with the users who are using the system.
Yeah, and like you hear stories like there's a story that's been getting around, whether it's true or not, but all the nuclear arsenal in the US is all controlled by some machine that's got a big 8.5 inch disk drive.
Yeah,
all this sort of stuff.
And the codes are distributed by 3.5 inch floppy. Yes, I've heard of this.
So it's just it's just a bit crazy. But
again, it comes down to I've been doing a bit of research, and even things like air gap machines can be targeted by malware if you know what you're doing, and you need to know if you know how to get into the system.
Yes.
So it makes it really, really dangerous. I suppose by having the presumption that old is good, and not many people actually know how the old stuff works anymore, and that's the other thing as well.
Do you think that the companies, businesses, we'll say organisations to wrap up private and public into one ball, so do you think the organisations just don't truly understand the cost of not upgrading? Because they're always seem to be saying, well, that for us to upgrade to 10, it's going to cost us so much, it's not worth it. But do they factor in what happens if something goes wrong, if they're hacked? Is that worth it?
Well, it depends on who's doing the risk analysis at the time. The risk analysis is really important. How much do you want to mitigate a risk against how much it's going to happen to if we lose all of our data and everybody leaves us in droves? What's the situation going to be? Now, to me, it's now getting to the point where the reputation of a data breach is now more significant than the actual financial loss of upgrading everything. And that's the situation we've got into in the last probably 12 months.
So when you try to protect your data, like say an organisation, these days more and more, they're pushing all their data to the cloud, Amazon, Google, Azure, whatever. Because they're going, well, I don't want to look after my own security. Like, I don't know how, I don't have the resources, excuse me, so I'm going to push it all to the cloud, and that's what I'm paying Amazon for. I'm paying them to look after my security. But then that can still be breached up there in the cloud, say. But then who's responsible then? Is it then Amazon, or is it still because there's Slack code that's?
It's a number of things. One of the biggest problems we're getting is it doesn't matter where the data is. If your fundamentals are wrong, then the data is exposed. And that's why one of the reasons why going back to the basics is really important. It doesn't matter what technology comes along. If you have a way of protecting it and you understand the protective process, then the new next bright and shiny thing that comes along that everybody wants to get involved in, the fundamentals and the basics are still going to work. So passwords, having access to right policies, all of these things are really, really important. And people forget that. The biggest problem with cloud-based systems is getting hacked is not the code being hacked. It is someone who has authority on access to a system getting personally hacked. They are then transferring that information into the cloud. Yes. That's a huge problem.
Now, just with this Windows 10 Creators Update, I don't know if you've seen this little function or whatever, but I believe it's only came with the Creators Update, was you can pair your phone to your computer, and then when you move away from this is by Bluetooth, so when you move away from your computer will lock. So I thought that was a great little feature. I haven't actually had it working yet. I bought a little Bluetooth USB dongle, but I can't get that function to work. I don't know why. From my Googling, I believe there is an issue. But that's that's what I want to implement here, and that's a good idea.
Yep. There's also another one that there's an application that's available that uses Bluetooth as well, that you can put a USB key into any device. So the moment you pull out your USB device, that's when it locks it as well. And that also allows you to encrypt the hard drive as well. Right. So if someone steals the computer without your key, there's a very, very, very small chance that they can get the information out of it, because literally you've taken the USB key out, which has locked the encryption and also locked the computer as well. So it is something that we really need to look at as a focus for protecting organisations. But again, it comes down to, yes, having a mobile phone paired with a computer, yeah, that's great. Gets within 10 metres.
Yeah.
It locks it. But what happens if I can spoof your phone? I can still capture that information.
Yes.
And also then do something else with it.
So you're saying that, yeah, so your preference would be like a dongle, a physical.
Yeah, a physical device that you plug into a computer would be a lot more secure. It causes a few problems if you leave your dongle at home and you're going to work. But, like most people now have a USB device of some sort on their car keys.
Yes.
It's just now that's the way we go. And it would be very easy. It's just a small application that sticks on your phone. On the USB, sticks in your computer, and that actually allows you to actually do anything on the computer.
But what would the actual say longevity of this work? Because USB devices, they can just die at the blink of an eye. What happens there? Can you recreate the dongle easily somehow with the machine?
Well, that's a problem. It's the same with biometrics, for instance. You have the information stolen about your retina scan or your thumbprint or whatever. Can someone else use it? How can they use it? What can they use it for? That type of thing is also coming into the fore as well.
So, because I just remember just a few weeks ago, there was a web hosting company, I think, in China.
Oh, yeah. It was South Korea, $1 million, please. Otherwise, we wonon't give you your website.
That's right.
Back.
That's right. So, yeah, web hosting company got hacked from ransomware. So it leads me to a question. Why would they pay it? Wouldn't they have had backups, or were they too big that they wouldn't have had off-site backups? They were just all on-site and everything got infected.
I honestly don't know. To me, the backup solution is probably the easiest way to go, because it does mean that you have a physical copy. And one of the things we do with our clients is we make sure that there's a physical backup on site as well as an off-site backup, just in case we get leveled by an earthquake or anything along those lines. But in most situations, that on-site backup is going to save you a lot of problems anyway, because Joe Blow gets all your data encrypted. You literally go back to the backup and get it all back. So to me, I'd say their IT department didn't think outside the box, which is what you really have to do.
And I'm sure that your South Korea, their IT department probably get paid a fair bit too.
Yes.
If they got $1 million to, well, not throw around, but $1 million to pay the ransomware, and apparently they paid in like 4 chunks. They had to negotiate.
Yeah.
And negotiations weren't successul, and they could pay it in 4 chunks. So hip hip hooray!
Give us some money, or otherwise, yeah.
That's right. Now, what are the cyber threats that concerns you the most? Is it what we've just said, like breaking into computers, or is there something else that would concern you?
I think one of the things that we're really starting to see is education. Education is really becoming paramount in protecting any organisation, because people are the ones who are going to see the issues. People are going to see that what's happening on the glass. People are going to get a feeling that something is not working properly. So if you actually educate people to do something, the moment you actually click on a link, what do? Well, the first thing you do is pull out your network cable. But to do that, you have to actually educate people to that level. Now, if I'm sitting in front of the computer with no education, then to me, anything I do on the mouse and keyboard and see on the screen is literally how the computer works.
Yeah,
And unless people actually understand that some of the stuff that's going on in the background, yes, you get a piece of ransomware, you click on a link, or you open up an invoice that's supposedly come from a provider that hasn't. You need to know what steps you have to put in place to protect the organisation or yourself or whatever.
Yeah, I got an email the other day from a guy, like a customer of mine, and it was from the Google Cloud, an invoice. I went, well, what's this rubbish? He doesn't send me invoice. It's the other way round.
I send him freaking invoices.
Yeah, that's right. And so I actually clicked on it and went, oh no. I thought no, because you're thinking more. I was worried about more. Why is he sending me this? And I've clicked on it, and then I've realised, oh, that's not right. And then I've shut it down. But thankfully nothing happened. But yeah, that's how easy it is. It looked like it came from, it was an invoice, it was a link to the Google Cloud, it looked like it came from Google, everything was fine, but yeah, it was obviously rubbish.
Yep.
And they're pretty tricky.
They're notoriously bad, I'm afraid. It is something that we constantly forget how clever they are.
Yeah.
Even especially in the last 5 years. The last 5 years, they've got more intelligent, they've got more focused, they've got more desperate, I suppose, in a number of ways, and they also are a damn sight more dangerous. So
yeah, and the bad thing is that all these, they'll figure out how to get into somewhere, and then they'll package up their script and sell it to other hackers and make money that way. So they're making money from the attack, making money from the sales.
Well, most of the larger organisations, the criminal organisations, they will use a piece of malware that has a 0-day exploit for probably anywhere between 3 and 6 months before they will release it into the dark web where everybody else can now use it.
Yes.
Now, when they actually do that is usually when people like Microsoft, Apple and Linux find out they've got a problem and we now have to patch it. So we've had a 0-day from the time that those people have discovered it all the way through to when it was released onto the dark web. Microsoft then finds out we've got a problem and now they've patched it. So that can be anywhere between 6 and 12 months. And that's a huge problem. And this is one of the things that happened with the shadow broker hack on NSA is they had 19 of these so-called capabilities that not even Microsoft or Apple knew about. So it's a significant problem.
Yes, yeah, it is a problem. But then I suppose that sort of would lead you into, can you be anonymous online? And should you be anonymous online?
Can you be anonymous online? Yes and no.
Yes. So
it depends on how much you want to put into it. Depends on how much you want to expose yourself to, and also depends on what capability you have as a person as well. Playing anonymous online can have really good benefits because you can actually do some research on things that people aren't going to find out what you're researching, which is some of the things that we do. But to do that, I use a virtualized environment. It is just a clean vanilla build of Windows 10. It has the only thing that's running on it is Tor, so the browser. And then I use that to do whatever I need to do. To access the internet, not only am I going through Tor, but I'm also going through a number of proxies to get out there. And before it actually hits the Tor network. So all of this stuff means that I am practically invisible. But even though I'm practically invisible, I still don't put any personal information out there. I have no usernames. I have no email addresses. I have no bank information. All of that sort of stuff, because even though I'm anonymous, that stuff may fall into the wrong hands.
But logically, you can be traced back to you, like logically, just because you go through proxy after proxy after proxy. If there was some, say, investigation, and all these proxies played ball, if everyone played ball, they'd be able to trace you back to you. Yes.
Again, at the moment, the technology means it's easier for me to hide than it is for them to find me.
Yeah.
And now with some of the pushing and throwing that are coming from government departments, coming from politicians about we've got to protect ourselves from the terrorists and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, it's going to get a lot tighter for people to be able to hide, but there are going to be ways of doing it. Even right down to, we watch it in the movies. You get a burner phone when you're in the States, that type of thing.
Yes.
But you can still show that someone's bought the phone somewhere or it's been stolen from this batch. So it's still going to give you information about where it came from, what it can do, all of that sort of information as well.
Yeah. So I think, like being anonymous, it's pretty hard. Like as you know, if you do an IP locator yourself just on a browser, you get the approximate area of where you are. But to drill down any further than that, I think you'd have to really talk to the ISP, wouldn't you?
Yes, yes. And also, don't forget, the ISP is now collecting all the metadata.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, and that's another problem as well. So,
well, if you watch that, I don't know that movie Snowden. Have you seen that?
No, I haven't seen it. No.
Oh, I don't know whether you should take it all as gospel or whatever. But they were saying, as the movie goes, that the NSA was just recording everything, every Skype call, every text message, everything.
Every Zoom interview.
Everything. Exactly this one. Hello, NSA.
Yeah. Hello, NSA.
So do you think that would be possible to record just everything on the internet?
I think I think recording it is a problem because where are you going to put it all if you're going to recording it? Fair enough, people like Facebook and Google and all these sort of stuff are all have, and especially places like YouTube and eBay, yes, they have the facilities to actually run their systems, but do they have double that to actually record everything you do? Metadata, the reason why they chose metadata as a recording system is it is very concise, but it is very small information. So you can get some really heavy involvement in the basics out of it. Yeah, you can't get specifics, but the basics can actually pinpoint someone right down to 10 meters from where I am at the moment.
Now, what's just moving off track there? We'll leave that there for the minute. And what's happening with the NBN for something completely different? So down in sunny Canberra, there's no NBN.
No. We've got NBN. But I think one of the things that we're finding is that the NBN is focused and targeted only on getting new connections in place. One of the biggest problems we've got with the NBN is the simple fact that, yes, they'll put a system into an exchange and then they'll move on, and all the ISPs are now quite happily selling that connection in the exchange. The problem that is really arising at the moment is we've got for instance, we've got a gigabit link to the internet through NBN, and it's designed to take 10 people, so we all have 100 megabit. Now, what happens when we pack that with another 60 people? Now, those 60 people now makes it 70 connections. We're now down to 4.5 gig per user. That is the problem that we're now running into. But it's all very well rolling it out and saying this is great stuff, but as long as if they're not going to do anything about the main trunks, then we have some serious problems, because the more people go onto it, the more people who are being forced onto it are creating the problems that are now arising for a lot of my clients in the middle of Canberra.
It is true, though, because, I think when I first got onto the broadband, like, I don't know, near 2000 or something, the Telstra was, I think I got a 12 gig download limit. My download speed wasn't much, I can't remember, but I remember my upload was only about 256k or something. And then it is true, as the technology, or as they opened it up, that you got more gigs, you got faster speed. Well, you started using more and more and more, and then that's what happens, I guess. Like they roll out the NBN, and if you've moved from an ADSL, say, one connection to the NBN, you're going to go hello, and go for gold.
And the other problem is Netflix.
Yeah.
Okay, Netflix is fair enough. It's been throttled down, and it's been the technology makes it a lot more robust and has less data in it, but it's still a big impact on the data that's coming out of the internet.
Do you think that say with Netflix, and that the way that it should work is that the actual, say, the movie or show, say, burst downloads onto the device and then plays from the device, thus freeing up the connection?
That would be probably the better way of doing it. But if there's a constant trickle to someone who's watching it and there's another 700 people doing the same thing on the same connection, then, even us, we've got ADSL, not ADSL2, not even anything spectacular. That we've got ADSL at home. And we've noticed recently that if you're working from home and it's 4:00 in the afternoon, literally the ADSL drops and it goes down. I can usually get 6 to 7 megabit per day per 6 to 7 megabit. When from 4:00 to about 8:00, it drops down to about 1, and it's practically impossible to work.
And that's just demand, just like on the exchange.
Yeah.
isn't it? Because like the ADSL line is supposed to be just your dedicated line from you to the exchange.
Yep.
As with cable with us, we're on a ring. So the more that hop on the ring in the neighbourhood, the slower it goes. But I've found the same. I get on, like, I've got 100 down, and you get on at about 6 o'clock at night, something like that, and then you start doing speed tests, and you're down to say 30, and then you're down to like 20 and 15s and 10s, and it just doesn't you can't handle it.
And NBN doesn't have a guarantee of what bandwidth they're going to supply. As I said, they're getting it into the exchanges, then passing it off to the ISPs, whose their role is to put it out. The trouble is Telstra and Optus are pushing their voice over IP components as well. Again, this is making it more and more difficult for just organisations to do business. If you've got let's say a 25 megabit NBN connection, and you now put 5 lines on it of voice over IP, you're going to have problems.
So, because with it's not the actual cable technology, is it? Because that can take petabytes of data apparently on different, once they start using a stream that's a different color, that can handle another, petabyte of data or something. So it's the actual the infrastructure they're putting into the exchange.
That's right.
And also, as you mentioned before, the backbone. So which is what the big cable that runs up and down the coast.
Yeah, well, that's right. Yeah, the technology is good, and it would really be a lot better if we had fibre to the home. But even with fibre to the home, if the connections at the backbone level are not handling the amount of people the amount of traffic that's hitting it, then we're going to have a major problem.
Yeah. So you haven't seen that Telstra, they're not building out the backbone? They're just letting it sit?
I don't know, but I get the impression that once they've got the connection in there, they are completing their agreement. So okay, yes, we're going to put NBN into Sydney. Okay, NBN's in Sydney. Now we're going to have 4 million people connect to it. That's not our problem. That's the ISP's problem. And I think there's a lot of that argument about whose issues it is where we're coming from.
Now, just to finish up on the NBN, I just looked on the NBN site just before, and I found that they've got a weekly rollout report. Doesn't give you much information, but it's there anyway. It makes them look good. Yes. It looks like I downloaded the latest one. It just says premises declared RFS, which means refers to homes and businesses passed by the active network and ready for services. It includes, looks like every technology pretty much, the FTTP, FTTNB and the HFC. So total number of premises passed, 3.3 million.
Yep.
So it hasn't passed here yet. Well, I guess we're going to get HFC when it comes, which is already here. But I guess we're just waiting for the Telstra to upgrade the whatchamajigget, wherever it connects to.
The exchange.
That's the one. That's right. All right.
Big building with no windows, Yeah,
that's right. And a lot of pasty dudes that walk in and out of it.
Yeah, the ones outside having a fag,
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so look, we'll leave it there, I think, with the NBN. Just check the NBN to see when it's available in your area. I know, look, when it does work, it is really fast. I know the guys on Aussie Tech Heads, like with Warlock, he's got NBN. He doesn't seem to have any problems. He's in the central coast of New South Wales, probably a smaller population, but he doesn't seem to have any problems. He's uploading YouTube 300, 400 megs in about 20 seconds or something.
It's nice. Can I have his connection?
Yeah, that's what I said to him. I said, I need that too. I reckon what we got to do is just, we'll have to rent a house that has NBN, just put all computers into it, and we'll just remote into these computers.
That sounds like a plan to me.
Yeah, and so we've essentially got the NBN, haven't we? We're just remoting in for the, All right.
Yeah, right.
Okay, good stuff. All right, well, that's going to bring us to the end of this episode. A bit of a catch up and whatnot, and we'll have something else to talk about in the next episode. So Thanks for coming in, Roger.
No worries. Thanks, Glenn.
Stay warm, stoke the fire up, and I'll be thinking about you.
No, you won't.
I'll be thinking.
You're now going down the beach to put your feet on the lounge chair and the beer, and you'll be right.
I'm going out the back to have a sunbake. All right, good stuff. Okay, thanks again, Roger, and thanks for downloading and listening. It's great to be back for Series 3, and we'll see you all next time. Cheers for now. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Glenn.